So I'm talking a little bit about leadership, and the reason I like talking about leadership is this is not about fruit and Pilates, or at least not only, could involve fruit and Pilates, could involve lots of things, but in terms of, but leadership is really important. There's no point having fruit and Pilates if your manager is then really rude to you, very reactive. So, it's almost like undoes any nice work done with fruit, Pilates, mindfulness, or anything. So leadership is really important. And if we think about a hypothesis that leadership is about getting from A to B as quickly and efficiently as possible, we might think, well, that to a large degree that's true. So we want to get places, want to achieve stuff, right? We're in business. That's kind of what we do. But we want to arrive at point B with our collective sanity still intact. We still want to be relatively sane by the time we get there. And there's an article in the Harvard Business Review I discovered which says that 1 in 5 leaders are on the edge of burnout, but highly engaged in what they're doing. So even though they're keen and motivated, they're still pushing themselves too hard, still pushing themselves really hard. So you can be aware of that. You might be aware of, maybe you're one of these people who's really really engaged in what you do, you love what you do, but you're pushing yourself really, really hard. Or maybe it's one of your team members who you think, actually, you might be a keen bean, but I really think you're pushing too hard right now. And we are all leaders, it's not to sound cheesy, but whether we lead a company or whether we are just leading on a topic, we can all lead and influence people. That's possible for all of us to do that. We can all educate others, we can all influence others. And I'd like us to think about leadership and being like a great leader. So I'd like to lead you in first like a little contemplation. So I'd just like to invite you to close your eyes. You can sit up straight if you'd like to. And this contemplation is really just to consider a question. So I'd like you to call to mind a great leader. So it could be someone you know or someone you don't know. So it could be someone you've worked for or someone from history. But it's someone who you'd say leads with excellence. Just bring this person to mind as best you can. You can ask yourself the question, why? Why did this person come to mind? So just allowing space for something to arise here. Just holding this question lightly. Why do I think this person is such a great leader? What is it about them that makes them such a great leader? Someone who leads with excellence. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And maybe just shout out stuff that came to mind. So any kind of quality that you noticed when you called to mind that leader, someone you know, someone from history, what is it about them that makes them great? Approachable. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Empathy. So empathetic. Yeah. Honest. Okay. Yeah. Integrity. Nice word. Yeah. Trust. So you can trust in them. Trustworthy. Yeah. Problem solver. Yeah. Self-belief. Okay. So like confident in themselves as well. Yeah. Determined. Yeah. Caring. Compassionate. Yeah.
I was going to say clear in direction with, information and.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear in the direction. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting what comes up in this sort of question is because people rarely say met quarterly numbers or something. This is kind of what we measure success by. We do measure people in terms of, business turnover or whatever it is. But it often does come down to some of this stuff around connecting with people. Talks about being clear, being compassionate, and being caring, and also to skillfully initiate or guide change. So to cope with ambiguity, to be responsible, to be clear when we're in a situation maybe when the earth is kind of moving, we don't know what to do. We need somebody who can really hold that space for us and be respectful, creative, someone we can trust, someone who's trustworthy in that situation. And so this whole like getting from point A to point B thing, is sometimes when we get to point B, we're burnt out. We're kind of, we're at that negative end that Tanya described earlier, where we've really neglected our spouse, maybe, family, friends, or not getting along with colleagues, or there's some other kind of mess around. Now, looking at you lot, many of you, most of you in business, I bet there's a lot of ambitious people in the room here that, want to get places. But success, I'd argue, isn't about achieving our objectives. I'm not saying we can ignore them, can't ignore goals, they're really important. But doing it in a way that we don't neglect our lives, we don't neglect each other, we don't neglect the planet. So instead, can we inspire each other? Can we take others with us so we don't leave a mess? Has anyone seen a mess? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, maybe we made a mess. Maybe we can think, oh, actually, I really did just sort of make a mess. We got to our goal, but there's people, the place is kind of a bit burned out. We've really exhausted ourselves. So instead of all that, we attend to our world. We attend to ourselves and others a bit more closely. And a way of doing that is training in something like mindfulness. Now, it's always good to really root this in the practical, because these are sort of very philosophical, ways we're speaking. But by this I mean good habits, really good habits. So often we've created bad habits. Could be waking up first thing and checking our phone and answering a few emails first things. The brain is immediately in work mode, even though we've just woken up. And these bad habits can mean that we're stressed or unhappy. And it's interesting with this like mini meditation thing, because I do agree we can take like a mindful minute sometimes, but I do get asked quite a lot by people, what is the shortest time I can meditate? And I'm like, okay, so, listen to yourself, what you're saying here. You're probably going too fast. And, we always have to start where people are at, right? We can't be like, right, okay, how about an hour tomorrow? They're going to be like, no, it's not going to happen. But if you are thinking, what is the shortest time I can possibly fit in my well-being routine, then maybe you're going too fast. And in this kind of getting from point A to point B thing, there can be sometimes a sense of speed. So let's get there faster, maybe twice as fast as last time. Even with something like self-improvement, you find people are like, I've read all of the self-improvement books. I can do it faster and better than others. And, I know how to optimize my time like no other. And it's just a bit like, we can't be racing for well-being as well. It seems a bit upsetting, really. But, and whether we're queuing in a shop or in a traffic jam, sometimes we're just a bit hasty. We want stuff faster. We want it now. We're applying a lot of effort in our lives. So in always trying to get somewhere and be somewhere, we overlook being ourselves, coming closer to ourselves and these kind of thoughts, feelings, body sensations, stuff here. This is life. This is the real us. It may not be pleasant all the time, but it is our experience and we can come closer to it. So this training, this mindfulness training, is more about becoming more fully who we are. It's about training the mind, and it's about training our attention. And we can often take the mind and our attention for granted, but really it's the most valuable resource we have. If you say, what is the most valuable resource I have? To better have focus, have attention, to be aware, that's huge. So we're going to do a mini meditation right here. So I'd invite you to sit up straight. So with your shoulders back and down and your chest is lifted. And this is optional, so if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You just want your feet to be flat on the floor. And if possible, if you're not in any major back pain, to have your back away from the back of the chair so your spine is self-supporting. So you've kind of got this dignified, upright posture. And you can gently close your eyes or even just lower your gaze. You can bring the attention into the weight of the body coming down. So into the feet touching the floor. Into the weight of the legs and buttocks on the chair. And into the arms resting in the lap. So just allowing a sense of grounding, a sense of giving in to gravity, just as best you can. This weight of the body coming down. And then gently you're going to scan your body from top to toe, just to tune into the weather pattern. So as you scan through your body once or twice, you can ask yourself, what's the weather pattern like inside right now? So what thoughts are around and what feelings are here? And any sensations in the body. Not to change anything, but as best you can to allow things to be just as they are in this moment. Just gently scanning through the body and tuning into what's here right now. And then gathering your attention and bringing it to the breath down in the abdomen. And you can put your hand here if it helps you. And just feeling into the sensations of breathing, just for a few breaths. So you may notice the expansion of the abdomen wall on the in-breath and the falling away on the out-breath. You may notice the play of air on the nostrils or the column of air down in the throat. And if the mind wanders, as our minds so regularly do, just gently go and get it and escort it back to these sensations of breathing. Even if you do this many times, whenever you notice the mind has wandered, gently bring it back into the felt sensations of breathing. Just breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And widening your attention out now just for the final stages of this meditation to take in the whole body. So as if the whole body was breathing. As if you were breathing through the pores of the skin. So nowhere to get to and nothing to achieve. Just breathing with this body, just as it is. Just breathing in and breathing out. Just breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Feel free to have a stretch or a roll of the shoulders if that's what you need. And really, some of the wider benefits of mindfulness, and I'm just going to be brief here because this is just a mini kind of intro really, but is kindness. So when we may have noticed that the mind wanders, quite often we be like, oh, mind's wandered, bring it back. And there can be this kind of tough voice, this kind of critical voice. And what we do in mindfulness training is to learn to develop a new voice that is kinder. And inevitably that affects the rest of our life as well. So when the mind wanders, we gently bring it back. So it's almost like working with a puppy, you're like, stay, and it's like, woohoo! And then you're like, okay, come back and stay. So we work with this kind of training. And normally that training results in being kind to others too. So it's kind of impossible to be a practitioner and not be respectful and kind and aware. So this isn't about doing something faster or easier and all this type of thing. It's not about becoming someone else or even this kind of strained self-improvement where it's like, oh, if only I can become a great meditator, then my life will be fixed. But it's more about connecting with who we are. And my background's in corporate, so I worked for Pearson Education and then Intel Corporation, and I got really stressed at Intel, not because it's a bad company, because I was quite isolated. I am an E, so leave me on my own for too long and I will find that quite distressing. So I had a lot of responsibility, and I think I was searching for like the answer. I could frequently be found in the self-help section of a bookshop, like, what can help me? I know, law of attraction, have a go at that, have a go at this. But really what I found is that nothing really worked that well. And the difference for me with something like mindfulness is that it's a practice. So it's not like, here's 10 tips and, you'll be fixed. It's something you can work on each day. So for the public, we run 8-week courses. We also do shorter courses in businesses as well. But it's something that is individual and you can build up over time doing practices in meditation and mindful living, but bringing your own flavor to it as well. So it's not a quick fix, no way. But I would argue there is no quick fix to good mental health. There's no silver bullet. And I think discovering that was kind of key for me. I lived in Oxford at the time, and Oxford University does a lot of research into mindfulness. This is taken seriously at the highest levels of government. These practices are serious. They're not fluffy. This is not fluffy stuff. This is neuroscience. This is mind training. This is being here. Like, this moment is the only moment we have. So, I'd really it's a real call to action, really, call to stop, what was that quote I heard recently? It was something like, don't just do something, sit there. So sometimes all the doing actually isn't helping and we need to stop and be. But we do need to root this in the practical, and we need to create habits that nourish our well-being, daily habits. I'll finish with a quote here, which was a wonderful quote. It wasn't actually attributed to anyone. I can't find who it's by, but I thought it was amazing. It said, leading with mindfulness, selflessness, and compassion makes you more human and less leader. It peels off the layers of status that separates you from the people you lead. So we can think about what kind of leader we want to be and what kind of trail we want to blaze in this world. So thanks very much for your attention.